word imagination comes from the stem ation, which connotes a noun, but a noun of action specifically, and the word image, which is rooted at its depth in the idea of a copy. In my mind, I hold two infinitely large copies of reality. Each is a snapshot of the situatedness of which I am a part. The outer extents of those captured images, while held inside of my imagination, are at the same time also unknown and probably unknowable. And yet, they are captured in my imagination in such a way that they are small and cozy and kind of snug, even intimate. The backstory of these pieces of artifice is the entirety of the created order of things. The universe itself is but a bit player on these canvases, either as a component part of the multiverse, if that's even a thing, or as a craft project of the Trinity, if he limited himself to one instance. Ecclesiastes 3:9-13 tells us the whole story, and shows us that there are two versions available. Quote, "What gain has the worker from his toil? I have seen the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I perceive that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live. Also that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man." Close quote. Think about the richness of the story expressed here. We are all wondering in some way, who am I? What should I be doing? What story, if any, am I a part of? I want my daily work to have some context, and voila, this text gives us two of them, that we both have housed in our imagination. I don't want to focus on the question, what should I be doing today? That typically occupies so much of my time, but rather on the I in that question. What should I be doing today? And on the very interesting question of what story am I a part of? In this narrative in Ecclesiastes and in my own mind, I see the entirety of the infinite. Language gives us access to the meanings of words. I'll say that again. Language gives us access to the meanings of words. We conjure the images with simple phrases like, God created the universe, and in that moment, the universe and the imagination of God is cast like a spell into the canvas of my mind. Inside of my mind, that is, inside of that piece of organic real estate at a particular GPS coordinate made up of mostly water and space, there's the image of everything ever, back further than when time began and forward past when time ends. Eternity is in our hearts. So we have this exquisitely ticklish situation where, for a moment, the infinite is housed inside of the finite. It is powerful, paradoxical, exquisite, and so cozy, kind of. I don't have words, and I don't think Roget does either. And yet there is this other canvas that can be viewed contemporarily with the first. In a sense, this canvas is part of the other, and this is the point of what I'm writing, the flash of a picture that so startled me that I needed to paint it with words and cursors, my paintbrush. That canvas is a part of this one, in some kind of infinitely intimate embrace. Ecclesiastes points this out when it first states about the subject, who is some guy out working on pulling some weeds or fixing the squeaking door hinge, that this humble worker has eternity in his heart and is both inside of that eternity as a character in the story and outside of it as one who holds it inside of himself. I was sitting drinking coffee with my wife this morning. She caught a glimpse of the moon through the trees, and with the trees as a reference point, could actually see the moon moving steadily through its appointed orbit. Our conversation went to the images sent back from the Hubble telescope of the depths of the universe, even a tiny fraction of which, when exposed to that penetrating photography, exposes galaxies as if they were sands on the beach. My thoughts extended out further, to the edges or the lack of edges. It doesn't really matter which. And in a sense, the entirety of the universe was captured by my mind. I looked at the quaint photograph with some interest and some emotion. And then, as though it were an optical illusion, it looked back at me. The scale shift was electrifying. What I mean is, from 1/10 of a second to the next, I moved in scale at a velocity that exceeds possibility, from infinitely large to infinitely small. I saw with words and meanings all, and then all saw me. Eternity was in my heart. Then I was a part of that eternity and couldn't know even a part. And I think this is a healthy thing. I am powerful. I and all my kind, people, I'm talking about humans here, I was made in the image of God, and He gave us characteristics that are titanic. And, not but, and, I'm just a speck of dust. Lewis points out, in The Weight of Glory, quote, apparently then, our lifelong nostalgia, our longing to be reunited with something in the universe from which we now feel cut off, to be on the inside of some door which we have always seen from the outside, is no mere neurotic fancy, but the truest index of our real situation, close quote. And I wonder what it will be like to be on the other side of that door, to house the universe not just with words, but truly, and yet to be housed by it. I wonder what worship will be like when we know that which we worship, when we know Him who created all.